Could the key to curing the world's most challenging disease be hidden within the nature itself? Join me as we explore how BioSorta's journey into mining microbiomes are changing the pharmaceutical drug discovery as well as sustainability of our environment. Welcome to Provider's Edge, the podcast that helps healthcare entrepreneurs and innovators break down barriers and control their business, life, and future with valuable action steps. With me, your host, Sabrina Runbeck, a recovered clinician and a business deal catalyst. Let's rewrite the rules and create a positive social impact while increasing your profitability. Look what we got here today is Russ Young's founder and CEO, and he has been spending over 30 years inventing product technologies and processes for various industries and holds over 75 patents worldwide. Woof, talk about innovations. He is the driven innovator by focusing on what is better, faster, and less expensive. Russ's recent major innovation, including an R&D 100 award for collaboration on biopolymer technology. Back in 2009, BioSortia was awarded a $6 million ARPA-E U.S. Department of Energy and R&D grant for its harvesting technology, which helps the lead into development of BioSorta's drug discovery platform. So we have invited Russ to be interviewed and share his amazing stories and technology with you guys, because he's also part of one of the 6 winners on Post Point Pass's Health Tech Impact Award from last year. So we're so fortunate to be able to have different perspective and different technology. You guys have heard so far anywhere from mRNA, genetics, and oncology treatment to caregiver world, burnout treatment and prevention. And now we're farming microbiome on different levels on how do we create better drugs for all of us that are looking just for that beacon of hope. So Russ, thank you so much for joining us today.
Sabrina, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So how about you tell us more about your journey? Because definitely I cannot say all the amazing things that you have created and done. And tell us more on how did technology being born, especially you had done so many patterns already. How did you get this initial interest in this one particularly? And what do you see as the major gap? That's why you wanted to go in to fill this gap.
Terrific. I'll try my best. So when I look at my own history, I have a very diverse background: environmental science, industrial engineering, tremendous amount of work in the mechanical and electrical and processing technologies with a number of different companies, medical imaging, video and optical disc, plastics processing. And ultimately, it was exposure to so many different technologies that generalized education from being exposed to so many things that put me in a position to see things a little differently. So you're right. We do look for better, faster, cheaper, differentiated in our model of why to potentially create something. And it needs to at least be one of those. If it's more than one of those, then it's even a bigger potential opportunity. One of the things that we did discover in this path is that back about 50 years ago, most drugs were found by culturing microbes, growing microorganisms into a bioreactor and scaling them up so you could find out what kind of molecules they were making. Now, that ultimately led to 50% of the drugs that are on the shelf today, either directly, indirectly, or inspirationally. So being from the manufacturing world, we like to look at things and find ways to improve them. And one of the big issues 50 years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago was less than 1% of the microbes on the planet could grow in a culture. Well, that means the other 99% have never truly been studied for the molecules they make. So the obvious question is, why couldn't they be cultured? Another obvious question is, why can't you just get them from the natural world? Well, both of those turned out with the technologies of 50 and 40 years ago to be incredibly difficult. But we're not in that 40 and 50 year ago time frame. We're today. So what technologies have advanced? What hurdles need to be overcome? Let's revisit that problem and see if there were solutions. And we ultimately have figured out solutions to getting these microbes at a scale and at a quality from the natural world that we can dig directly into the chemistry that's been hidden from life science researchers forever. That's the opportunity that BioSortia has, is we're going to the natural world in a very environmentally friendly way and mining the microbiome. Once we have these microbes and these consortia of microbes known as microbiomes, we can process them to get at their hidden chemistry. I like using the example, if we were going to mine lithium and I ended up saying this is my tool for mining lithium, most people would look at that and say that's the wrong scale, that's the wrong tool to mine lithium. Well, when we look at the biological world, if you're at a benchtop, this is a typical sample for trying to find molecules that are not even readable in samples this size. So our approach is not 100 milliliters of sample size, but it's 200 million times this sample size to get at that chemistry. And we've been able to prove that we find tens of thousands of drug-like small molecules that nobody's ever been able to research in one microbiome.
So amazing to really set it in our mind. For majority of the drug discovery is that 1% of what we already discovered. And what about all the rest? When we know they exist, but we don't know how to leverage them for advancing our drug development, treatment, or perhaps even improving what we already have. And to give that beacon of hope, even though drug development takes years, but now we know the advancement in our lifetime is possible. And you guys have figured out the platform to do that, to extract the data. So when people are simply asked for it, now is, as you're saying, 10, 100 times of the data point that's already available for them, instead of for them to still figuring out what could be, right? It's the thing about, well, we know it's good, but we don't have a way to do anything, so we take no action. Now is we actually know which action to take. Now we just needed to have the right resource to build a platform like you guys are doing and to be able to truly share with the right industry. So that being said, what are some the go-to-market strategies that you guys have already been working on to say, I need the right people to know about this so they can actually leverage these great technology when they're ready?
We're focused on the kind of groups that are looking for life science technologies to improve the opportunity of humanity moving forward. So when we think about investing in good and investing in profit, when we think about what opportunities this technology could potentially provide, it certainly will provide opportunities for anti-cancer or treating of cancers. It'll provide opportunities with neurodegenerative diseases, neuroinflammation, metabolic diseases. Virtually every therapeutic opportunity exists within a microbiome as it's been analyzed by researchers extensively. They're finding connections. Outside of human therapeutics, human health, human nutrition, You've got things like agrochemical, the opportunity to discover things that will protect crops or enhance growth and do so with natural molecules. That's an important thing. The other opportunity is sustainability. I love the idea of being able to explore a red tide, learn enough about its molecular fingerprint that we could interrupt the cycle and potentially eliminate the toxin that's being produced by that algae, by that microbe that's in the water. Red tide has been a horrific amount of economic disasters to Florida and to other places around the world. And we have the same hope and promise for things like harmful algae blooms that are in freshwater lakes, even coral bleaching. So we look at this technology being aligned with the kind of things that can advance humanity.
Yes, what I'm hearing is you have three major domains, especially based on the research front to advancement. One is the pharma world. How can we create better drugs to target better diseases? Number two, agriculture. Because at the end of the day, we needed energy, we needed right crops to fuel us. And how do we do it in the best way to actually sustain us? And then it's the environmental factor. How do we protect the planet that we are already on? So we already been experiencing big changes with higher degree of melting. And how do we now be able to say this planet is still going to sustain us as we continue to move forward in life? Even we have all these different technologies, how do we use all these technology to help all of us in multiple different way of life? So when you are having these three specific ones, then definitely when people are really clear, then you can start figuring out what is that one primary thing that you love to get engaged with, get some momentum and start spending out. Is there one out of the three you are more excited about?
I think therapeutics is a businessman's dream. And someone can say that looking for new drugs or trying to discover new drugs is going on a fishing trip. What we'd like to say is all drug discovery is a major fishing trip, but we have set up the scenario where we're fishing in the best stocked pond on the planet. So one bit of analysis that we've done has showed the potential of one microbiome leading to 240 new approved drugs. It's hard enough to get one drug approved, but to use the math to potentially extrapolate that it could be 240 is ridiculous. But that's the numbers that we've been able to see, is that where we go to look for these discoveries should turn out to be the best source ever. Even better than microbes that grew in culture, because microbes that grow in the natural world produce many of the molecules they would never produce in culture. And I think that's the number one economic opportunity, and it certainly will help people. So we're excited about that one first and foremost.
That's awesome. At the end of the day, we have to create a business that's also sustainable and not just helping everybody else, because we have to have the drive, the passion, the gift to create, but also for all the people that are working on these things, they also have families, they also have personal interests that need to be taken care of, not just these amazing ideas that we all have. That being said, business are always ups and downs. It's like a roller coaster. And some of the wins we also deserve to celebrate. At the same time, we are looking at the challenges that we're able to get over. So what has been some of the things that you guys are able to overcome as you're building this company?
I think one of the first things we overcame that was really important was collecting the microbes from the natural world, building out that technology, envisioning it, trying it, scaling it from generation 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and then having it work so brilliantly at collecting the microbes from the natural world. And then ultimately seeing the results of what novel molecules we were able to find, that's very rewarding for the team. I think on the opposite end of that, it's been tough for the entire team because what we've done seems so easy to understand, so powerful in its simplicity. But when you have the entire world never trained to do what we're doing, that means they were trained to do something else. So when you ask somebody who's an expert with a hammer, how would you put this nail in this piece of board? They're automatically going to hit it with the hammer. And in fact, if the hammer's all they know, they're going to hit everything with that hammer. So the challenge is, how do we, with a brand new revolutionary technology, really get to the visionaries that are trying to understand this opportunity? And that's the toughest part of what we're doing. We think it'll be obvious at some point. mRNA technology that led to the COVID virus, that team was looked at as going down a pathway that would never work. And they were blasted for their thoughts and their beliefs about how mRNA could be utilized as a technology. They just won the Nobel Peace Prize. Now, I don't believe we've got something like that, but I believe it's inherent of organizations to fight change, even if it's the smartest, most educated people in the world, when you're talking about your doctors, when you're talking about your leading researchers. They have a focus. They've built a dynamic and a career and a publication history. It's not easy for them to pivot. In fact, they can't. Therefore, there are barriers to new technologies in this research world where everyone says, bring us what's next, but nobody really wants it. So that's a big challenge.
Right. In anybody, it doesn't matter how high our IQ, EQ, and anything that we have. At the end of the day, we're all human, and human has three major downsides. Is we can be driven by fear, we can driven by shame, or we're driven by disappointment. And therefore, sometimes we are so used to doing certain ways and have to get so much proof before we can say, okay, then I won't be disappointed if this doesn't work. And then I won't be fearful if I really contribute and it didn't go anywhere. And so that just answered my own question. Or, oh my gosh, I can't believe I done this. That should have never happened. We have to be able to push through all those, to be able to take actions continuously to build the ability and capacity to perform, especially in the innovation side. And then we can build the confidence to really share everything that we have gone through. And for you guys, it's that way of such novelty. So if I give you a magic wand, everything can just disappear, but you can only actually use it once. What would you use it for?
I want to see this execution happen. So I'm going to ask for more money than I need and make this execution happen because we have first mover advantage. And I want to be able to collaborate and partner and go move this technology into the hands of researchers. The key thing that we do is we're enabling technology. We're a platform. So we don't want to replace what others are doing. We want to make what others are doing easier to do. So we want to work with, and we are collaborators with a number of universities and companies, but Stanford, Ohio State, University of Michigan, Case Western Reserve, many universities we want to work with and bring them these molecules. We need the resources to execute. And that's where I would use the magic wand, is for those resources to do something nobody thought possible and nobody has ever done, but it will have a massive impact on life sciences.
Great. So the resources you truly need, and from all the listeners out there, is better collaborative entities who are doing these researches and believing in it, and also funding to support these researches. Anything else that you would love support with, and how can we end up being in champion you're on?
Well, I appreciate that. I think it's exposure to things. I like using the example of when the first electric car proven to be viable on the road and how long it took from that first electric vehicle to really commercialization of electric vehicles. A lot of people would think the first electric vehicle may have been 80, 90, 100 years ago. It was 190 years ago. It was in 1834. The first electric vehicle proved viable. What we would say is what we're doing is so important. People need to know about it. They need to be taught this new trick that we can go get the hidden small molecules that are in the dark matter of biology and elevate them to usable quantities. And with that, we can start to understand processes and opportunities to cure disease, improve crop production, make the environment better. So we love it when people share the post. So when this post comes out, people, I hope, will take a look at it and we'll dig deep into what we're doing.
Amazing. I know people's going to want to explore a little bit more for this area, especially the researchers, as you're saying, in the pharma therapeutic side, or even agriculture, or the environmental friendly side. How can they best find you?
One of the best ways is our website, BioSortia.com. We try to keep that updated and provide additional information there all along. Also, LinkedIn. So right now, LinkedIn.com, BioSortia on LinkedIn has a posting for their next program with polyplexus. And it may already be done by the time this airs, but that's March 27th. And we have 3 programs in all recorded. So our BioSortia site at LinkedIn will have that information. And they would be great programs to watch and share.
Great. For everyone who wanted to listen more, please go to their website and LinkedIn. We so appreciate you sharing this newer way of discovery and your deep knowledge and work in this field. And we wanted to, for everyone, please go to LinkedIn, comment on one of their posts, or create a post yourself. Take a screenshot of where you're watching this, listening this episodes from, and give us some feedback of how are you able to impacting the therapeutic world, whether it's with the microbiome or some other areas, so we can continue to support you. Until next time. Thank you for tuning in to Provider's Edge podcast. We hope you enjoy our latest episode and found the insights and tips helpful. We'd love to hear your feedback on the show and learn what topics you'd like us to cover in the future. So please take a moment to leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform and let us know what you think. Your feedback is essential to help us improve the show and provide you with the content you need to take your healthcare business to the next level. Thank you for your support, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.